Hello and welcome to the Keg Warehouse Podcast. Well, this is a podcast, technically.
Okay. Do you know your voice sounded very like, and tonight on Through the Keyhole.
Tonight, welcome to drinking beer from kegs. It's how I order food when I go to a bar. I'll have a steak and chips. Yeah, well, we're heading down to London, to the smog, and we're going to the London Brewers Alliance, which I didn't know existed.
So the London Brewers Alliance is going roughly 20 odd years from memory, maybe more. They are a group of around 100 breweries based within the M25 is sort of their condition. There is a few outside that because they were members in London and they moved to premises outside the M25 but still qualify. And they have a bi-monthly meeting to discuss developments in the trade, development in products, and anything else that each other can help with. So it's a very informal, almost social gathering. And I've been a member for, I think, 7 years, so I know a lot of the members, even though some have came and went, obviously, as the brewery trade does, but really good bunch, all very friendly, and obviously, yeah, we're what's termed as a supplier associate, or associate supplier. So we go along as a member and pay a yearly fee to be highlighted as a keg supplier, as do lots of other suppliers from the label industry like APS and Swindon, like Dominic and Thomas from Collective Motion Brewing, and a lot of the other well-known suppliers such as Murphy and Son and Charles Ferrum, etc. So it's a good mix of brewers and suppliers, and yeah, it's just getting to know each other, and then with people like and trust each other, then hopefully, yeah, we all get some business and the brewers get good products, good service.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, and I feel like the North should have had something like this. There probably is one that exists, but we were never part of it. But it's a great idea. I mean, for me, it's a really interesting industry, coming from the motor trade originally, where pretty much no one works with each other and most of the time works against each other. In the brewing trade, everybody genuinely tries to work together, and you know, I've seen we've done it where others have run out of grain, or they've forgotten to order the yeast or some crazy thing, and we've gone and shared it, or they've helped us out with containers or all sorts of stuff. So it makes sense to have an alliance like this. I think it's a really, really good idea. Yeah,
there's also a London Brewers Alliance WhatsApp group, so you will see on that when you're a member, people will ask, I'm stuck for 25 kilo bag of malt, or I need 10 kilo of hops, or whatever it may be, and people selling maybe second-hand equipment where they've bought some new tanks or indeed new kegs, and they're just offering the group of members, are you interested, or do you know somebody else outside the Alliance that may be interested? So yeah, it's always a good night. I say it's quite informal. There will be a bit of an introduction from the chairman, Gawain, and John Crine, the secretary. Anything that, as a group, people need to know. And they also give new suppliers who maybe joined an opportunity to stand up for 5-10 minutes and say, yep, I'm from XYZ and this is what we offer, and I'll be at the bar if you want to chat, which is great.
It sounds like a good way of doing business. It's so funny. So I went to another event with my friend Polly. Polly's very posh. She says she's not, but she is. And she's all about pink and very smart. And she said, will you come along? And I said, yeah, sure. She said, well, I said, what do I wear? Hoodie and jeans, all right? She's like, no. And I had to dress smart. And it was a strange experience. She's like, didn't you get dressed up in the brewing thing? And I was like, it's not really what we do, is it?
No, the standard uniform in the brewery trade is a waistcoat and or a hoodie or a beanie or a sweat top. Yeah, you don't get people turn up in suits and shirts and ties to any brewers meetings. People think it's the tax or the VAT man.
Yeah, it's true. Or somebody that's about to sell you something really expensive. So it's quite interesting. I'm looking forward to this. I genuinely think it's going to be quite interesting. And there's a lot of things in the trade that's different now to what it was. I feel like, and this is only, I have nothing to back this up, it's purely observational, but I feel like there's almost I think after the pandemic, when we lost lots of breweries, because a lot of us picked up a lot of debt, and there was a bit of a fallout of love with craft beer. I think people drinking habits changed maybe, and they drank from home a bit more. And
I think you're right, John. And I think unfortunately, and we're all a bit guilty of it, when you go into the supermarket now and you see what they term as craft beer, that's probably no longer craft, it's probably owned by a macro. You're picking up a can of IPA for, I don't know, £1.50. Where really a properly handcrafted beer made on a small local brewery needs to be £3.50 plus.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we all have budgets, we all have our spare income as such, and it's easy for a supermarket to make a very small percentage, and unfortunately that sometimes takes the brewery supplier down a rabbit hole of no margin and long credit terms. And this is why I think we lose some really good breweries that have got big orders from the supermarkets but turned out to be not cost effective. So it's
when you're
difficult.
making 5 pence a can is a good rate. I mean, it's just madness, absolute madness. I think the other thing I've seen is consolidation. There seems to be some breweries that have been able to weather the storm, and they've come out of it the other end with a very strong model. So I think of an example would be somebody like Creative Juices in Rickmansworth, where they changed their tack to be more about the tap room and their offering there, and then made that very profitable in the events and the things that they do, and selling their beer at full retail has allowed them to actually expand and grow. They've completely redone their tap room recently.
We have lots of keg customers that have tap rooms, and I think that was the way forward, rather than sell at low margin to third parties. If you're lucky enough to have a tap room or able to open a tap room, and whether it's at your brewery or whether it's a standalone unit, the problem with that is, again, you're back to more overheads. But if you can get a tap room at your location of your brewery,
seems to be the way, doesn't it?
It's a win-win. And I also know breweries now that are taking over pubs that are closed, so they're now trying to build their own little pub chain, which again, selling your brewery beer at cost but selling at retail price, and cutting out distributors and cutting out supermarkets. So I think there's lots of brewers who are good business people and look at opportunities and maybe are quick to pivot is the trendy word at the minute. And I think unfortunately there's lots of great brewers that don't know how to do all that, and that's where they fall down, and people say, what happened to them? They had a great beer. But they needed a bit of help in maybe actually running a business or putting a business plan together. But it's just not easy. It's not easy for any business.
No, and it gets difficult. I went down the route of investors, and that's a difficult challenge again, and that can bring its own set of problems. And yeah, it's a really hard trade, and I think on top of that you've got a few other things. You've got a change in drinking habits from the younger generation. Millennials just don't drink as much. I think there's a big push on drinks with like nootropics in and all that kind of health push.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we all know the low and no alcohol has took a massive jump, and most venues you go to now, you do have a low or no alcohol choice, including people like the big brands with the blackie colour with the white top has a very successful zero alcohol offering. And here's the thing, a lot of people might not know. I wonder if they asked 100 people what colour is a very well-known Irish stout, how many would say black and white, when actually it's a red ale.
Yeah, that's
and if
right,
you hold it up to a bright light, you can see it's a red ale. Anyway, something I learned years ago and not forgot.
I like that. Do you know, funny bit is I like a red ale, and we made a red ale, and could we sell the red ale? It's really hard. It was really hard to sell back. See, that's the other thing. Do you still see that now, Darren, where there's a fad in styles, or has it all been done to death?
I think for years the UK was used to the big brand names, like the old advert, because it's about our age bracket, John. Bet he drinks Carling Black Label. They brought that back. Yeah, the Carlings, the Tuborgs, the Carlsberg, the Tennants, Harp, Fosters, all of that. And then the craft beer industry boomed, and everybody was introduced to new flavours and fruit and sour and hazies and all of that. And there was definitely a massive boom and success in that, but they're very expensive to produce in comparison to a mainstream lager. Yeah. So I think, again, people's spending habits, maybe people have went back to the big brands because it's habit. And when people like, I can't remember who owns Madry now, but funny enough, it was a question on a quiz on the radio this morning, in which country, what country of origin is Madry lager from? And the people in the quiz all said Spain, because it's a play on Madrid, where actually it's Tadcaster. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if I'm ever in a pub, I listen and watch what people order at the bar, and they'll go in and they will say, a pint of Madry, and they'll think they're drinking Spanish lager, and it reminds them of their holidays, where actually it's probably not even in Spain, never mind made in Spain. But yeah, I think, I don't know, do the bigger globals have the better marketing because they've got more budget? Is it a herd mentality where 80% of people will just follow what they see on the World Cup or the rugby, or I don't know.
It's tricky. I think personally they shouldn't be allowed to do it. I think if you've got a brand like, I don't know, Kronenbourg 1664 that's meant to be from France or whatever, then you need to state that in clearly on the front, brewed in the UK. And then I think that would open up more for interesting European lagers.
You'll probably find legally they do have to do that, and it probably is in the small print, but it's just
it's on there.
The smoke
buried.
The smoke and mirrors of marketing.
Yeah, this is it. I just don't like, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit old-fashioned. I do love my European beers as well. I think British brewers are great, but you don't often find like a London brewery trying to pass off their lager as like some random Spanish brand, do you? You just don't do it. It just isn't a thing. And I would buy that drink because it's made in London. It says it's colloquial, and I'm there, so the experience is good. But I feel like with the bigger brewers, it's a lot more dishonest. It's like Brooklyn Lager. My mate is like, oh yeah, I love American beers. What do you drink? Oh, Brooklyn Lager. And I was like, it's made in the UK. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Have a look on your bottle. Oh yeah. Oh, well, they must have done that recently. No, it's been like that for about 4 years. And I just think it's passing off in a kind of weird way, because what they're doing is telling you it's something that it's not.
Yeah, I suppose it's on a lot of products that would be seen as like breach of trading standards or something.
I don't know how it must be all right because they get away with it, but I don't know. It seems strange to me. Like, if you ever get San Miguel that is not made in the UK, it's a really nice beer.
Yeah, I think the San Miguel Spain is 5.4% alcohol.
Yeah.
I think the UK versions would be 4.2.
But San Miguel's not a Spanish beer.
I thought it was a Spanish
No, it's not.
beer.
No, it's like something like Thai or something random like that.
It might be owned, maybe San Miguel's owned by something.
No, the original brand. There's a real crazy story with San Miguel. Which I can see you frowning now, but we'll chat GPT it after.
Okay.
I'll add it on here below. I'll put it there. Where San Miguel's originally from. But there's a lot of beers like that where.
Are we having a small wager on that, John?
What? That it's not Spanish. Yeah. What do you want to bet?
That it was Spanish, or it's not Spanish?
It's
now?
not. It's not. Well, I don't think it was ever Spanish.
Right. I think it was definitely Spanish. So okay.
Okay. So, tenner.
That'll do.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Tune in to find out who wins.
Yeah. Exactly.
Find out in the next podcast from the Keg Warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sponsored by San Miguel.
Could you imagine that?
Your favourite Australian lager.
Yeah, I think. I think there's something has to go on with that. And you go in a supermarket, like my local Sainsbury's. Gosh, I sound so middle class when I say that. It's just that is the only one that's there.
Other supermarkets are available.
Yeah. You go in, and in the fridge, it's dominated by 3 brands that churn out a load of mediocre beers made by claiming to be from all around the world. And then somebody in that shop decided to start buying Paulaner Hell's,
right,
which is incredible lager, Hell's lager from Germany, and it's been sold in the 3 for $7. So I've been very happy. But when we look at the craft beer section, you've got Tiny Rebel, you've got Brewdog, which I'd argue is no longer. I would say Tiny Rebel's still craft, but Brewdog's not. And you have a lot of the bigger brands, but most of that stuff in there is not. I don't feel it. Like you said earlier, it's so much more expensive to buy to make a proper craft beer that I feel like when you go to the supermarket and you pick something and it's on a deal from a craft brewer and you drink it and you go, gosh, that smells and tastes like cat wee. It then puts you off. It actually is a bad reflection on the brewery.
Yeah, I think that's a big concern with some of the brands that I did like as a craft beer, and now when I have it I think, is it my imagination or does that taste different? And what they say is, because it's now bulk produced, it may have the same ingredients but it's not watered down. But just because you make 1 million litres instead of 10,000 litres, you just don't multiply the ingredients by 10. It doesn't quite
equate. Doesn't work like that.
So the flavour's not quite the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed with a few that were independent brands that I like that are now part of the globals. Yeah, I feel they don't taste the same.
I tell you what I would like to see is if we do get a new government at some point, which certainly after the recent developments is looking that way, is that they'll maybe ease off the duty on beer and help craft beer make a resurgence. I think that would be good.
Definitely need to do something, and not just for the craft beer, but that general trade hospitality. Because every day I read online about bars, restaurants, pubs, cafes. The overheads now with taxes and minimum wage and all the other bits and pieces, it's just making it so hard that without them putting all their prices up by 20-30%, which then puts the consumer off even getting into having a meal and a drink, that trade feels like it's disappearing, apart from the big chains that can fine tune it and duck and dive some of the costs. It's sad to see, especially a lot of good restaurants that are, you know, maybe going 10-20 years, and I read that they've decided to pack it in, they just can't make it work anymore. It's pretty sad.
It is sad.
For a thing that was a culture of Britain, going to the pub for a pan, a pint, and whether that's an age thing or age group, or whether young people just don't go to pubs and have pie and pints anymore. But then you've got to offer something else, and if you do that as a low alcohol or a healthier meal option, but you've still got to charge what seems to be a high price, that again they just don't go. I really don't know. It's a big concern.
It is, and there's a lot of people that work in that industry as well that rely on it. There's a lot of people that are very passionate and enjoy that industry as well. And it would be nice to see people actually earn good money and be, happy and enjoying their work, and not working for nothing. I just think there's got to be some change there. I wonder, I don't know, because I've been out of the trade for a little bit, but SEBA, when they used to try and do their negotiations with the government, it never really seemed to be that successful. And I wonder whether they could beef up their negotiations with the new government. Maybe get some people in who actually are brewers and brewery owners to go in, not the likes of some of the medium ones that benefit from getting rid of small breweries.
I've read somewhere recently that Andy Parker of Elusive Brew, based in Surrey, quite next door to Sirencraft, Andy is now in politics, and I think is a councillor for one of the parties. And he's sort of one of the most respected, recognised independent brewers across the country by both
he's very good.
Home brew and commercial brew. So maybe hopefully Andy can get a bit of sense through to someone in government of the sad state of affairs. But then again, I do wonder, I've heard this somewhere too, does the government only want big companies to run the UK trade, whether it be the supermarkets or the breweries or the car insurance? That is the government's theory. Well, if we have 20 companies running everything, that's less work for us to do.
Well,
rather than having 200 companies all share it.
Well, I feel like that with the craft beer industry. It'd be good if they could just kill off all the small ones that they've got to monitor, and in their mind they spend less money doing it. But I don't know, the other side to it is, I think Britain's built on entrepreneurs and people that took a risk and built business.
What's the old saying? Britain's a nation of shopkeepers. Is that a saying?
And the inventions and go on TikTok. Look at how the Brits use TikTok and how they've made successful businesses out of a brand new platform. Even in recent times, that's what we do well. So why are we bowing to a globalist kind of agenda of having, it makes me think of Wall-E, where they're all on that spaceship going around, around orbiting Earth, because it's all just junk and rubbish down there. I think
I've not seen that, but it sounds a good.
And it's all owned by one company.
Right. Amazon.com.
Yeah, it is. It's literally like that, and I think then you've got this argument about AI, and it's going to take everybody's jobs, and there's going to be nothing left to do. Ask a few brewers if they think AI could do their job. I think they'd be well happy if AI could do all the cleaning for them, because that's the biggest part of brewing. But I think there needs to be. I was really excited at BeerX to see it's so buzzing. It was buzzing. There were so many people, lots of people with news stories, lots of people still setting up breweries, and going for it, and going for there were really out there niche ideas that were just fabulous. And I was like, yeah, this is really, really good. So I'm hoping that things are on a comeback. Right, everybody. So my phone's glowing orange here, so we'll probably end it here. But thank you for listening to this podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to buy some kegs, check out the kegwarehouse.co.uk. Or
if you're a brewery and you would like to come on and just have a bit of I would say from Northern Ireland, a bit of crack with us, or a bit of banter.
Yeah.
It's something we're looking at. There's lots of good podcasts out there, and we're sponsoring one at the minute. Martin Avis, the beer rep, who's doing a podcast interview, which is great. We also sponsor Beer Today online magazine. Sorry. But we don't really want to take over or be the next biggest podcast, but we just enjoy the trade. We enjoy meeting people. We enjoy hearing everybody's input and opinions. So, if you see us out and about, and I've always got the branded Keg Warehouse jacket on, feel free to come and have a chat. And if you want to go on video, or you want to do an online chat with myself and John about the trade of the business, get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us about what you do, and we'll expand on this. I think it'll be quite good fun. So I'll catch you all on the other side, and goodbye.
Cheers.